Hello all. Well, my mother's doing fine. She's up and walking and the therapy's going well. So what we're going to talk about today is the world economies. How are things looking? So let's go over to the board and look and see what kind of economy or what kind of dollar amounts we're talking about here. Of course, we're talking about untaxed income to each country. So let's go take a look. So for 2014, the U.S. comes ahead with gross earnings of $17.5 trillion. China comes in second at $10 trillion. Japan comes in at third at $4.8 trillion. Germany at fourth at $3.9 trillion. And France fifth at $2.9 trillion. And United Kingdom at number 6 at $2.8 trillion. Okay, these numbers can be kind of not believable, and let me show you why. Let's go take a look at the U.S. and why this figure alone doesn't mean a whole lot. So being the top wealthiest country in the world doesn't really mean much, does it? With 2.5 million children homeless out on the streets in the winter, in the fall, in the spring, and in the summer. In 2013, child poverty rates, according to the U.S., is 19.9% back at 2013. That's probably much higher now. More than likely 30%, to be realistic, from what we're seeing around here. So if a country is wealthy or not doesn't seem to matter. When you look at the individual numbers, it's amazing. Let's go look at the U.S. again for an example. So in the U.S., this is the official numbers, and we know those are all cooked. Here in the U.S., 45 million people live below the poverty line, and I guarantee there's so much more than that. The affordable housing in the U.S. is 30 to 1. For every 100 units that are expensive, only 30 are affordable. And unfortunately, most of those are in the poorest of the poor states here in the U.S. Okay, we've talked about some of the poor in the U.S. Now let's talk about the wealthy. So as every year, there's a who's making the most money in the U.S. or around the world. And of course, number one is Bill Gates at $81 billion last year, up $9 billion from the year before, 2013. He's been the wealthiest human on the planet, or at least in the U.S., for over 21 years. He's the founder of Microsoft. Bill Gates, couldn't you just give a couple of dollars to some of these homeless children here in the U.S.? Number two is Warren Buffett at $68 billion, up $10 billion from 2013. Since 2008, when the world went into a depression, many countries, including the U.S., have been QEing, or putting money into the bank, which then the banks put into Wall Street. Bill Gates is a big part of that. He probably doesn't even know what the word child poverty means, or poverty, or poor people. They drive around in limos and fly around in their own jets and rarely ever see the public the way most people see the public. So, in the U.S., the poorest of the poor are making around $2 a day, if that, on a global scale of things. Most of this is caused by the wealthiest people trying to get the most money out of the poorest by reducing wages and benefits. And around the world, most governments are now reducing their welfare states, or the ability to help the poor, by giving that money to the wealthy in the way of subsidies, such as to the military-industrial complex, or the oil industrial complex, or the new complex about buying elections. This new system throws billions of dollars into our election campaigns, causing a whole nother economy over just trying to get the very wealthiest elected to office here in the U.S. and other parts of the world. So, for the people of the world, that's most of us, that live at or below poverty line, we have to learn how to live with less food, less water, and absolutely no shelter to really speak of. So, until next time.